South Korea, North Korea shall become one, says the Lord. North Korea, your president is dead. He is already dead. I've already written now on the wall, mene, tekel fasa. God said, your days are numbered. You have been counted in the balances. Therefore, Kim, it is now time now for you to face this that you have done has been iniquitous. You are no longer alive. You are a vegetable. You are brain dead. And God said, because of that, I will cause that to bring about unity in South and North Korea. And the greatest move of the Spirit shall come from there. America shall look and say, what is this happening? We thought we could make peace through United Nations. Hey, what is the United Nation? It is an evil force, says the Lord, that is a stench to my nostrils. They are not what I have called. God said, my church shall arise and invade the kingdoms of this world, and the kingdoms of this world shall become the kingdoms of our God and His Christ, says the Lord.
In North Korea, the regime of Kim Jong-il requires godlike loyalty from all citizens. Worshipping in public or in private brings systematic torture and imprisonment. Carrying a Bible or speaking to others about Jesus Christ can bring a cruel death, and it can mean torture for 3 generations of one's family members. Hiding behind a self-enforced curtain of exile, the socialist country of North Korea is getting away with grave human rights violations. North Korea, officially a socialist republic, is considered by many to be a totalitarian Stalinist dictatorship. After decades of inefficient resource management, in 1991, the country began relying heavily on international aid to feed its population that has grown to 25 million people. Government-sponsored religious groups exist to provide the illusion of religious freedom. But in reality, North Korea is the most difficult place in the world for Christians to live. Despite this fact, there are an estimated 400,000 Christians who are in constant danger because they choose to follow Jesus Christ.
South Korea, North Korea shall become one, says the Lord. North Korea, your president is dead. He is already dead.
Kim Jong-il as the dear leader and praised him more like a god than a head of state. Now at his funeral in Pyongyang, North Koreans have been expressing their grief with the same fervour. 2 days of commemorations have begun in a showpiece display that's also designed to cement the succession of his son, Kim Jong-un. The foreign media wasn't invited, so the ABC's Stephen McDonnell has been monitoring events from Beijing.
The state funeral of Kim Jong-il took place amongst heavy snow and in freezing conditions. The military, as key power brokers in North Korea, played a central role in the ceremony. A motorcade made its way through the streets of Pyongyang. Thousands were there to see it, and as the coffin of Kim Jong-il drove past, they were shown on North Korean television wailing uncontrollably. Even the local television commentators were heard, barely able to control their emotions.
Our great leader, who gave us everything, who created the way to prosperity. Where are you going now among this sea of white snow?
Saluting at the front of his father's hearse was Kim Jong-un, the new leader now known as the Great Successor. Also around the car were his uncle and the army's chief of staff, 2 men who'll join him in running the country. I'm here in Beijing because, like the rest of the international press corps, we've not been allowed into Pyongyang for the funeral. Foreign governments have also not been invited to send representatives to North Korea for the key ceremonies. But people will be watching proceedings closely to see if North Korea might start to open up under this family's 3rd generation of leadership. Yet some analysts fear that these ceremonies have been closed to outsiders to avoid them observing potential tensions at this time of leadership transition. so it might take some time yet before the world gets an idea of North Korea's direction now that Kim Jong-il has been sent off in such an overwhelming fashion. Stephen McDonnell, ABC News, Beijing.
When I saw the president of South Korea hugging Kim Jong-un, I asked myself, would he do the same with Hitler? Now, the world is cheering Trump.
I gave the President of the United States a standing ovation
for engaging with one of the most brutal dictators ever.
Future of peace and security for the world, for the whole world.
This regime has the worst human rights record on earth. This man runs concentration camps, deliberately starves people for control, and assassinates members of his own family. I escaped North Korea when I was 13 years old. Up until then, my life was a torture. I survived a famine that killed 2 to 3 million people. I ate dragonflies to survive. I passed starved dead bodies on the way to school. My father deported to prison camp for more than 10 years. His crime? Informal trading to find food for our family. Ever since I spoke out against the dictators, my relatives disappeared. President Trump, you are sitting down with this dictator without asking for any concessions. Kim is clever. He's using this moment to sanitize his global image and prove how supreme he is at home. I've seen this show before. When I was 7 years old, the supreme leader, my God, married the South Korean president. And guess what happened after that? Nothing changed. Kim Jong-il got richer, and Kim Dae-jung won Nobel Peace Prize. So, President Trump, why you have Kim Jong-il's attention? Use it to free North Koreans. The nukes can be removed. What can be more urgent than human life? As a leader of free world, you must hold the worst dictator on earth accountable. To the American public, you have the power to tell your president he needs to fight for human rights in North Korea. Use it.
President Trump landed in Singapore, confident about his chances of success at the high-stakes summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, tweeting, "Great to be in Singapore. Excitement is in the air," but warning, it's now or never.
It's a one-time shot, and I think it's going to work out very well.
Hours earlier, Kim touched down, arriving with his sister, and made his way to his hotel in a black limousine with North Korean flags on the hood and bodyguards running alongside.
So there's really only 2 options, peace or war.
Whether he gets an agreement out of this summit, the president believes sitting down with Kim is forward progress.
But at a minimum, I do believe at least we'll have met each other, we will have seen each other, hopefully we will have liked each other.
Religious freedom and human rights advocates like Open Doors USA see the summit as an opportunity to help the country's persecuted Christians, sponsoring a global online prayer summit at the exact time the 2 leaders meet.
This is so important because things do shift. And God is the God of the universe. He's bigger than politics. He's bigger than any one leader. And we know these regimes are fragile. We know things can change overnight.
I've already written on the wall, many tekalafasa. God said, your days are numbered. You have been counted in the balances.
So the most important day of the year on the North Korean calendar is April the 15th. They call it the Day of the Sun, and that is the birthday of Kim Il-sung, the glorious founder of North Korea, and Kim Jong-un's grandfather. So this is a day when there's huge parades on the street. They go to the mausoleum to see him lying in state and things. It's an extremely important day, and this year Kim Jong-un was not present. He did not show up for any of these events, and that caused a lot of chatter about where he might be, what might he be doing, is he having health troubles, all of the usual kind of talk about an obvious absence from Kim Jong-un. So the fact that he missed this really important event, and that his younger sister, Kim Yo-jong, has been putting out statements in her own name recently, all add credibility to this idea that he may have had a health incident. We always need to be extremely careful with any rumor that comes out from North Korea, because it's a black hole. It's impossible, or at least extremely difficult, to verify information that comes out from North Korea. And all of the recent rumors about other purges of people or events that have taken place in North Korea, they've been confirmed by North Korea themselves eventually. That's really the only way to find out for sure what has happened.
Therefore, Kim, it is now time for you to face this that you have done has been iniquitous. You are no longer alive. You are a vegetable. You are brain dead. And God said, because of that, I will cause that to bring about unity in South and North Korea. And the greatest move of the Spirit shall come from there.
Spotted from space outside his compound in an East Coast resort town, Kim Jong-un's train. But no Kim.
It seems likely that he has some kind of health issue. Otherwise, I think the North Koreans might simply roll him out and say, look, he's okay.
A Japanese news outlet is going further, saying Kim is in a vegetative state following botched surgery to insert a stent into his heart. And a Hong Kong TV channel's vice director, said to be the niece of a Chinese foreign minister, is going the hardest, reporting he's dead. Earlier this week, the US president downplayed reports he was sick.
I just hope he's doing fine. I mean, I've had a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un.
On April 15, there were the usual flowers and tributes, a birthday celebration for the country's founder, Kim's grandfather, Kim Il-sung. But there was something unusual. No Kim. Reuters is reporting China has sent a team of doctors to North Korea to check on the leader, believed to be aged around 35 or 36. Kim's sister, Kim Yo-jong, who blasted onto the world stage during the Winter Olympics in South Korea, could be a likely successor in the event of Kim's death, if a woman is accepted.
There's been a lot of discussion about whether or not the old guard in North Korea, the party, the generals in the army, would they accept the sister? But North Korean ideology requires someone from the bloodline.
The hermit state's succession line, as with the health and everything else about the leader, remaining a closely guarded secret.
We'll begin with breaking news as multiple media outlets are now reporting the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has died. The 36-year-old dictator reportedly died when a heart surgery went wrong. Because of the nature of the secret regime in North Korea, the claims of his death have been difficult to verify. It was on Monday we learned the leader was in a poor state. We know there is a family history of bad heart health, his father dying in 2011 from a heart attack. It is unclear who will now take over for North Korea.
It wasn't long ago that I had the privilege of spending some time with a remarkable lady called Hae-woo. She's North Korean, 70 years old, and hands down one of the most energetic people I've ever met. But Hae-woo's life has been full of trauma. In 1997, in the midst of a great famine in North Korea, Hae-woo's daughter, in her mid-20s, starved to death in her own home. Hae-woo's husband escaped to China. He found God. But sadly, he was caught by the secret police. And 6 months later, he died in a North Korean prison camp. Hae-woo said to me, "I was shocked to hear that my husband had become a Christian. But instinctively, I knew that he had found the truth. It wasn't too long after this that Hei Wu herself escaped to China, and like her husband, through a series of events, became a Christian. Hei Wu was caught by the secret police. She was repatriated to North Korea and placed into a prison camp. As I spent time talking with Hei Wu about life in these prisons, death so rampant that bodies would lay on the ground for 3 or 4 days without being cleaned up. Stories of mental and physical abuse that would make you sick to the pit of your stomach. I couldn't help but wonder, what is it about people like Hei Wu that makes them risk everything for the privilege of being in a relationship with Jesus? You see, in the middle of one of the darkest places on earth, Hei Wu chooses to do something so radical, so dangerous, and so Christ-like. She said to me that in the middle of this prison, God gave her a heart to evangelize, to tell my fellow prisoners about Jesus. And so right here in the middle of a North Korean labor camp, a secret fellowship, a secret church begins.
Let my people go.
The slaves are mine. Their lives are mine. All that they own is mine. I do not know your God, nor will I let Israel go.
Who are you to make their lives bitter in hard bondage? Man shall be ruled by law, not by the will of other men.
America shall look and say, what is this happening? We thought we could make peace through United Nations. Hey, what is the United Nation? It is an evil force, says the Lord, that is a stench to my nostrils. They are not what I have called. God said, my church shall arise and invade the kingdoms of this world, and the kingdoms of this world shall become the kingdoms of our God and his Christ, says the Lord.